Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. And today I will try to show to you guys how to evade the new IRCCMs of the new missiles, okay? So we're going to start it up with the R-73. Remember, this air missile, it actually changes the way that FOV is. So basically, it will be a very, very dangerous missile depending on the situation. Because of that, you know, as you saw, he fired a lot of flares, but if you are in range, the missile will still get you. That's the thing. How it works, as I said, it is basically that it has an FOV, this FOV over here, see the inner FOV there, and when you actually get a lock and fire the missile, it actually gets smaller. Yeah, he's yeah, that was a kind of a crazy kill. Oh, I hate this chat spamming. Come on. Basically it is decreasing the size of the FOV of the missile. That way it can actually ignore all the flares that are around the aircraft that is actually being locked, okay? This means that this missile, the only way to evade the missile like this, I mean, in a short range like this, is pretty much impossible to avoid it, because it is going to basically ignore every single flare that you basically put out, okay? So the way that you actually have to try to evade a missile such as this, but bear in mind that if it's close enough, as you saw, it is pretty much impossible, but the only way is basically trying to decrease the heat signature that you have while making sure that the flares are going to be in the middle of the FOV of the R-73. But remember, it's a 0.75 degree inner FOV after the lock. It's kind of crazy. So, oh my god, this missile. Yeah, he managed to evade it, you see? So basically what he did was to make the missile lose as much energy as possible while putting the flares in between the aircraft and the missile, okay? Let's try at close range. I don't think he has more flares. That's going to be a problem every single time against MiG-29. I don't know how that missed, actually. Yeah. But basically this is how you evade these types of missiles, okay? We have basically 3 missiles that you will face that have this type of IRCCM. We have the R-73, which is the best one on that regard. We have the MatAWG that I will grab next. And we have the R-27Ts and ETs. All these missiles, they have pretty much the same type of IRCCM. With the SMT, or the R-73, sorry, having the best of them all, okay? So again, the objective here is to decrease the amount of IR signature that you have. You can do this basically by putting the flares in a hotter place than the engine, on a head-on, on a side, like you know, a side aspect kind of shot. All these types of shots can be done, or also these sides like types of maneuvers can be done. So for example, putting yourself in a side kind of aspect like this can be very, very effective against the R-73. I will tell him to actually do this, because it is going to be a way, you know, basically it is ways for you to do this, you know, see how it works. So if he's basically decreasing the amount of heat that the engine is producing, not that the engine is producing, but that the engine is actually showing to the missile, while putting a lot of flares in the same kind of place where the FOV of the missile is, making it look at the flares. Remember, if you get a flare that is hotter than the engine, so basically a missile, an engine without afterburner, and a flare being dropped in the FOV of the missile, it will make the missile miss. It doesn't have any particularly amazing different magic system. It basically just have a very small FOV. So you have to put a flare between the missile and your aircraft. Last one over here. Yeah, See, he's doing a side aspect, so that basically the missile is ignored. Of course, as I said, depends on the distance. If it's close enough, the target will be so big that nothing will make you lose the lock, or the missile lose the lock, okay? Let me show to you in the MatAWG real quickly. So same thing, now we have the MatAWG 2, okay? It is the same principle, but it has a larger FOV, inner FOV, okay? But it is the same principle. So it will basically give a smaller FOV to the missile, to the head of the missile, and if it's close enough, it will get the target, okay? If the target maintains the afterburner, it will get the target. The target really needs to put the flare in the smallest FOV, trying to make sure that it's trying to lock on to that, okay? That's what is scary about the more modern missiles, right? They will have both types of IRCCMs. We're going to talk about the other type in the AIM-9M shortly after this one, but yeah. So basically the idea here will be the same, trying to do a side aspect kind of situation, or trying to get away before the launch, something like that will always try to help. On the MatAWG side of things, you can always make the missile lose the energy as well, which is also a very good thing, because this missile has less energy than other missiles, and it doesn't turn as well as the R-73, right? So it is a missile that you can avoid it a little bit in a more easier way. But yeah, cutting the turn with a side aspect kind of situation like this, it is the most effective way to dealing with the inner FOV IRCCMs of these missiles. Okay guys, let me grab the AIM-9M because it has a completely different IRCCM. So here we have the AIM-9M, okay guys, here we have a very different IRCCM. So now the inner FOV that I told you guys won't decrease the size of it to ignore the flares in a less, sizable area. It will actually maintain the same size of FOV after you launch the missile, but the way that actually ignores the flares, it's actually just having a navigation system, and it turns itself off. So basically the seeker will turn itself off, it will turn itself on, it will turn itself off and turn itself on, and so on every time it detects a flare. That way, if the target continues on the same path, it will basically be destroyed. So let's fire one, let's see if my guy here can actually avoid it, and yes, the missile went for the C. So it is a very easy missile to avoid, in a sense that if you know what you are doing, you basically will make the missile, just go kaput. The way that that works is basically meaning that, remember, when a flare is detected by the missile, the seeker is turned it off. It's just off. So the missile will basically see how it works from up close. It doesn't have the energy here, but the IRCCM is working, right? Basically, it detects a flare, it will turn itself off. So once you do that, you need to change your direction. If not, the missile will get you, eventually. I don't think he had flares, but still, it is a little bit different. It is the same, in the sense that it is the same as AIM-9L in the guidance and everything, but once it detects a flare, it turns itself off. And if the aircraft is not in the vicinity when it turns itself on again, it will basically go kaput, and it will not detect anymore the target, and it will basically be defeated. So for a target that doesn't know that you're there, or for a target that it's just pre-flaring basically, and it's not changing direction or anything like that, it is a deadly missile. But if the target knows that you're there, it can be a very easy missile to avoid in certain ways, so the best way possible is to just change direction. So you flare and change directions, flare and change directions, flare and change directions, okay? And another way is what my friend was doing, and there, he was basically just building, how do I say, like a flower, like you see here, he just continued on its path without changing directions. What happened even with the flares? It just got him killed, because every time he saw a flare, it turned itself off, but it was continuing to fly in the same path. So you need to change directions. Okay, on the rear aspect, you can defeat it with the flower that I said. You basically just spam flares in a way that it's kind of crazy like this, and the missile might basically just turn itself off. And when it turns itself on, if there's a lot of flares there and it turns itself off again, and then it's just got confused and it goes like to a general direction that it's not the way that the aircraft is. But in a side aspect kind of situation and everything like that, where the clear path of the target is easily you know, calculated by the missile, you know, it's very, very easy to make the missile hit the target. So it is a very, see how it's just tracking? It's tracking the target because he didn't change his direction, okay? He just maintained a flight path without changing direction. So the missile get him, okay? So let's try with changing direction now. So we're going to try the last time now trying to change the directions, okay? So it's probably the best way for you to deal with these targets. Of course, if it's close enough, that was a very bad shot, but if it's very close, it might just ignore the flares a lot sometimes. So just bear that in mind, okay? Let's try. Yeah, he tried to go for it, but he just missed. Now, let's try again with a little bit more distance over here. He's going to basically try to change the direction. So the missile is calculating where he is. If he doesn't change directions, he will get killed. What happened there? Well, he changed the direction. He just didn't continue to fly on its own path. He completed the turn, making the missile think that he was going to stay on that path because it has kind of an INS kind of situation. And basically when the missile turned itself on again, it was in another place. So the missile just misses, okay? So the way to deal with R-73s and MatAWGs is to basically put a flare between you and the missile really, really quickly. You know, side aspect helps a lot, front aspect helps a lot, but on the AIM-9, it basically needs to change where you are, or basically when you are in a rear aspect, just spam the flares like that, making the missile confuse himself. But changing direction is the most effective thing, so be unpredictable. You are turning to the left, fire the flares and then turn to the right. And continue to fire the flares, you know, and then fire the flares again and turn again, you know, and keep doing that, and you will be able to defeat the AIM-9. For unsuspected targets, the AIM-9 can be more deadly, I think, especially with the smokeless engine. But with the R-73 Inner's FOV, it is a more undodgeable missile if the target knows knows that the missile is there. Even with that, he will basically die if you get close enough. It will basically ignore every single flare that he tries to put it, and it's really hard to evade it, especially in a dogfight. So yeah guys, basically this is it, a quick guide, hopefully a quick enough guide, so that you can try to understand how to avoid IR missiles, the new IR missiles, okay? Hopefully you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, see you.